Welcome back, everyone. Today's lesson, still on the straight line, feels like lesson 9 million. I think it's actually only lesson 9. We are going to look at a special line called an altitude. This continues on from our work on perpendicular bisectors in the last lesson. Altitudes are a special line that we get within a triangle. Okay, so what I will do is I'll just draw out a little triangle. Now, triangle has 3 corners, 3 vertices. It also has 3 altitudes. To draw an altitude, you start at one of the corners and you draw a straight line to the other side. But you've got to make a right angle when it hits the other side. So for the altitude from B, it would look something like that, and you can see I've made right angles when I've hit the other side. If I want to do the altitude from A, it will look something like that. If I want to do the altitude from C, it would look something like that. So an altitude comes from a point within a triangle and goes to the opposite side, and it makes a right angle. You are going to have to work out the equation of this new line that we've drawn in. So in a question you could be asked for the altitude from A, and you'd have to work out what the equation would be. Now remember, for any equation of a straight line, you need 2 things. You need a gradient and you need a point. Okay, now you will be told all the coordinates of the 3 corners, so that will be fine. You'll have your point, but you need to think about how you would work out the gradient of this line. If we focus in on the altitude from A, how are we going to get this gradient? Okay, we don't know what this point is up here. There's no way of working it out, so we can't just do typical gradient formula. We need to use some of the higher maths work that you've already learned in this topic. Because it makes a right angle with the opposite side, the gradient of this line is perpendicular to the gradient of that line. Remember, you will know the coordinates of A, B and C. So to get the gradient of our line, we will need to find out the gradient of this line over here, BC, and then do a perpendicular gradient. I'm sure you remember how to do perpendicular gradient. Turn it upside down, change the symbol. Let's work through this a couple of times just to give you an idea of what it actually looks like in practice. So, first one, I'm going to tell us we've got triangle ABC. Point A is 2 minus 4. Point B is 3, 1. And point C is minus 5, 0. And I want the equation of the altitude from A. Okay. Now, because it's the first one, I think I will draw it out just so you can see what this actually looks like. So, little coordinate diagram. Let's extend this down a little bit. So I've got 2 minus 4. I've got B, which is 3, 1. And I've got C, which is minus 5, 0. And they go together to make my triangle. Camera malfunction. Okay, so that's what my triangle looks like. I'm trying to find the equation of the altitude from A. This has not been drawn on the diagram yet. Okay, all I've done is drawn the triangle. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to draw what this altitude would look like. It's got to go to the other side and it's got to make a right angle. Something like that. Okay, remember what we spoke about. I want the equation of this line. To get the equation of this line, I need the gradient and the point. I have a point already, that's fine. I need the gradient. To get the gradient, I want the gradient of this opposite side here, and then I'm going to do perpendicular gradients. So let's make sure we set it working properly. So I'm going to work out the gradient of this opposite side, which is called BC. So I'm going to do gradient of BC. It's going to be 1 take away 0, 3 take away minus 5, which is going to give me 1 over 8. As I'm going to do a perpendicular gradient, I just write down my little statement that indicates to the person who's marking it, I know what I'm talking about. I now want my perpendicular gradient, so I'm going to turn this upside down and change the symbol. If I did so, I would get minus 8 over 1, but I don't need to write the over 1. Point, well, it's the equation of the altitude from A, so the point I'm using is point A, which is 2 minus 4, AB, equation, did this so many times, y minus b equals m bracket x minus a, so it's going to be y. Now, I did this in one of the last videos. I know it's going to be y take away minus 4. To save myself wasting a line, I'm just going to straight in with y add 4. I know it's going to turn into that anyway. Minus 8, x take away 2. Multiply out the bracket. Minus 8 times minus 2. Remember, do not let basic negative numbers work from first year stop you from doing higher maths. Be careful where your negative numbers work. Take 4 off both sides. Y equals minus 8x add 12. Job done. You've just worked out your first altitude. Okay, let's try another one. This time we're going to say that we have A, which is minus 3, 1. I'm going to say that I've got Q, which is 2, 9. And I'm going to say that I've got Z, which is 8, minus 1. Again, just because we're getting together to it just now, a little sketch from me just to show you what it looks like. A is minus 3, 1. Q is the point 2, 9. And Z is 8 minus 1. Join it up. Make a triangle. Okay, I've not told you the question yet. I've not told you where I want the altitude from. So let's say for this one, I want the altitude from Z. Okay, so I need to start at Z, I need to draw a line to the other side, and I need to make a right angle. It'll be more something like this for this one. Like so. So this new line that I've just added in, that's the line I need to find the equation of. So I'll need to get the gradient. Remember, to get the gradient, I need the gradient of this line that's opposite it, and then I'm going to do perpendicular gradients. So I want the gradient of the line AQ, which is going to be 9 take away 1, 2 take away minus 3. That's going to give me 8 over 5. And then my little statement, just to show that I know I'm talking about perpendicular gradients. Upside down, change the symbol. The perpendicular gradient would be minus 5/8. So I've got the gradient of my new line. I need a point. It's the altitude from Z. So the point that I'm using is Z. AB. And now I can go to my equation. Good old equation formula. Pop in my numbers. Again, it's going to be y take away minus 1. So I'm just going to go straight to y add 1. I've got minus 5/8 as my gradient and 8 for that point there. Okay, need to remove this fraction, so I'm going to times through by the bottom number. So I'm going to times through by 8, remembering to times everything by 8. The minus 5/8, the two 8's will cancel, leaving minus 5 on the top. I'm going to multiply out my bracket. Minus 5x, minus 5 times minus 8 plus 40, and then I'm going to take 8 off both sides. Premature with that. And that's going to give me 8y equals minus 5x plus 32. Same as the last one. Gradient of opposite side, use the point you're given into the equation formula. Right, I'm going to do one last example like this. I won't use the back, pens come through. So, this time we're going to go with D, which is the point 0, 3. We're going to have M, which is 10, 8. And I'm going to have W, which is minus 1, minus 1. And this time I want the altitude from D. And this time I'm not going to draw it. I know that I need the gradient of the opposite side from D. So, opposite side from D must be MW. So I want the gradient of that line. That's going to be minus 1 take away 8, minus 1 take away 10, which will give me minus 9 over on minus 11. The negatives will cancel to leave me 9/11ths. I then want a perpendicular gradient, so I need my little statement. And then M perp, turn it upside down, change the symbol, negative 11/9. My point, it's the altitude from D, so I'm going to use point D, which is 0, 3, for my A and my B, and then I need my equation. Fill in the information, y minus 3 equals 11 minus 11/9, x take away 0. Don't need to write the take away 0, but I'll just include it this time round. I'm going to times this through by 9 to remove the fraction. 9y minus 27 will equal, the 9's will cancel, leaving minus 11. And then I'm going to multiply out my bracket. I just get minus 11x because minus 11 times a 0 would give me a 0. Add 27 to both sides. 9y equals minus 11x plus 27. Job done. Right, a slightly different style of question that we could get, okay, would be something like this. I'm going to tell you that we have a point. So we're just going to make something up. So in triangle PKL, find the equation of the altitude from L, where L is 1, 2, and KL has equation 2x minus 5y plus 1 equals 0. Okay, so I've not given you the 3 points of the triangle. We're doing this question in a slightly different way, but we're still doing the same thing. We are working out the altitude from L. We need the gradient of the opposite side. Now they haven't given us that as kind of points, but what they have done is they've told us the equation of the opposite side. And if I know the equation of the opposite side, I can do something to this to work out the gradient. I've got the point that I need, I've got point L, so I need the gradient from this. They're just trying to ask the question in a slightly different way to test your skills. So, gradient. I'm given this line here. I need to find the gradient of this line. This is my opposite side. So how do I get the gradient again? I need to get y by itself, and then it's the number in front of the x. And notice I've got a minus 5y. I'm just going to take that over to the other side. Like so. Most people don't like working with it this way around, so I can spin it round. Divide by the 5. And now the gradient is the number in front of the x. So I can see that the gradient is 2/5. That's me find the gradient of the opposite side, but remember I still need a perpendicular gradient. So little statement, mperp, turn it upside down, change the symbol, minus 5/2, minus 5/2. The point, well, where's the question? It's the altitude from L, and they've told me the point, which is 1, 2. And then I'm going to try and squeeze in my equation. So it's going to be y minus 2 equals minus 5/2 x minus 1. I need to multiply this through by 2 to remove the fraction. So I'll get 2y minus 4. The 2's will cancel, leaving the minus 5 on the top. Multiply out the bracket. Watch your negative numbers work. Minus 5 times minus 1 is positive 5. Add 4 to both sides. Job done. What I will also caution you is keep your eyes open for horizontal and vertical lines. When you do this, if you end up getting a gradient that's either a 0 or an undefined, remember we have special rules for those lines. The equation is simply y equals a number or x equals a number, depending if it's horizontal or vertical. They always like to throw that in just to make sure you're on the ball. Right, time for you to do some work. So we've got question 1. I want the altitude from C. We've got question 2. I want the altitude from E. We've got question 3. Where I've given you it written as an equation. I want the altitude from G. And then question 4 is a bumper question. I want you to find the equations of all the altitudes in this triangle. So that means I want the altitude from C, the altitude from F, and the altitude from H. Yes, that's right, you've got to do that 3 times. Right, hit pause, do your work. Okay. So, each time we're doing the same thing. We want the gradient of the opposite side. We want a perpendicular gradient. We'll use the point that's been given to us, C in this example, and then we've got our equation. So, gradient. It is the altitude from C, so I need the gradient of the opposite side, which would be AB. Minus 1 take away 3, minus 5 take away 7, that's going to give me minus 4 over minus 12. The negatives will cancel, 4 over 12 simplifies to make 1/3. I want a perpendicular gradient. Turn it upside down, change the symbol. I would get minus 3 over 1, but we don't need the over 1. Point. It's the altitude from C, so I'm using the coordinates of C, which is 1, 6. Equation. Y minus B equals m bracket x minus a. Fill in all your information. Y minus 6 equals minus 3 x take away 1. Multiply out the bracket. Again, be careful. Minus 3 times minus 1 is positive 3. Add 6 to both sides. Y equals minus 3x plus 9. Hope you all got it right. Question 2. We want the equation of the altitude from E. So we want the gradient of the opposite side. Wrong term. Gradient. So the opposite side from E must be df. So that's going to be minus 5 take away 5. 3 take away 1. Which will give me minus 10 over 2. Minus 10, remember this line also means divide. 10 divided by 2 will give me 5, but it's minus 5. I then want my perpendicular gradient, so write my statement, turn it upside down, change the symbol. Minus 5 over 1 would turn into 1 over 5, 1/5, negative, so this one's a positive. Point, it's the altitude from E, so I use point E, which is minus 2, minus 3. I've got everything I need now into my equation. Like so. It's going to be y take away negative 3, so I can write y add 3. My gradient was 1/5. It's going to be x take away negative 2, so it's going to be x add 2. Fraction, get rid, multiply by the bottom number, which is 5, times everything by 5. 5y add 15 will equal, right, I've not skipped this step before, but this is when we start to do it. The 5 and the 5 will cancel, leaving a 1 on the top. If I multiply this bracket out by 1, it just stays the same. So let's cut out wasting time and go straight there. Take 15 off both sides. 5y will equal x take away 13. Hopefully you're on 2 out of 2. Right, question 3, the one that's slightly different, where I'm not giving you the coordinate points of all 3 corners. So again, we want gradient. So we know the equation of the opposite side, which is that. I need to rearrange it to get the gradient. So I'm going to take the minus 3x and the positive 1 to the other side, where they will do the opposite of what they did before. So the 3x will be positive and the plus 1 now becomes negative. The gradient is the number in front of x when the equation says y equals, so let's divide by 2. Like so, and now the gradient is 3 over 2. That's not the gradient I want though, I need to do a perpendicular gradient. So I write my wee statement, mperp, turn it upside down, change the symbol, the gradient I'm using is minus 2/3. Point, it's the altitude from G, and G is the point 23. And then equation. Fill in your information, so it's going to be y take away 3 equals minus 2/3 x take away 2, multiply by 3 to remove the fraction. 3y minus 9 will equal, right, the 3's will cancel, leaving the minus 2 on top. Like so. Multiply out my bracket. Minus 2x plus 4, again be careful. Add 9 to both sides. Final answer, 3y equals minus 2x add 13. Question 4. Right, the daddy. The altitudes, all the altitudes. Let's start with C. I'm going to do the altitude of C first. Doesn't matter if you've done it first, second or third. For the altitude of C, I need the gradient of the opposite side. The opposite side from C is FH. So I want the gradient of FH. That's going to be minus 2 take away 2, minus 7 take away negative 1, which is going to give me minus 4 over, be careful, minus 7 take away negative 1 is minus 7 add 1, which takes you back towards the 0, it's minus 6. Negatives will cancel, 4/6 becomes 2/3. That's not the gradient I want. I want a perpendicular gradient, so I write out my wee line. I do my perpendicular gradient, I turn it upside down and I change the symbol. I get -3/2. Or -3/2, as some of you might call it. Right, point. This is the altitude from C. So my point is C, which is 3,5. Equation. Y minus B equals m bracket x minus a. You should be saying this in your sleep by now. That's going to give me y take away 5 equals -3/2 x take away 3. Multiply through by the 2 to remove the fraction. Pesky fraction, don't like it. 2y minus 10 equals, so the 2's will cancel, leaving the -3 on the top. Multiply out that bracket. Be careful of your negative numbers work. I sound like a broken record. Add 10 to both sides. And the altitude from C is the line 2y equals -3x plus 19. Altitude from C. Right, I need to do the other two. Now I'm wishing I just gave you one question. So let's go with the altitude from F. So if I'm going to do the altitude from F, I need the gradient of the opposite side. I even need more paper. Okay, so the opposite side from F is CH. So I'm going to get the gradient of CH. That's on a different side and everything. Right, so CH, that's going to give me -2 take away 5. -7 take away 3. And we're off and rolling. I don't need to keep looking at that. So that's going to give me -2 take off 5 is going to give me -7. -7 take off 3 is going to give me -10. The negatives will cancel, giving me a gradient of 7/10. I want the perpendicular gradient, so I write my wee line out yet again. Upside down, change the symbol. The perpendicular gradient is going to be -10/7. Point. So I'm doing the altitude from F, and point F is -1, 2. Equation. Y minus B equals m bracket x minus a. That's going to give me y take away 2 equals 10/7 x take away -1. So just go straight to add 1 if you feel comfortable doing that. If you want to write it out longhand and waste a second line, be my guest. Right, remove the fraction, multiply through by 7. That will give me 7. Y take away 14 will equal, the 7's will cancel, leaving the 10. Multiply at my bracket. 10x add 10. Add 14 to both sides. 7y equals 10x add 24. So the altitude from F is 7y equals 10x add 24. One more to go, you little beauty. It must be the altitude from H. So I need the gradient of the opposite side, which is CF. That's going to be 2 take away 5 minus 1 take away 3. 2 take away 5 is going to give me minus 3. Well, almost made a mistake there. Minus 1 take away 3 is going to give me minus 4. The negatives will cancel, leaving a gradient of 3/4. I want the perpendicular gradient, so I write out my wee statement. Perpendicular gradient, turn the fraction upside down, change the symbol, it would be minus 4/3. Point. Well, this is the altitude from H. H is the point -7 minus 2. That's A, that's B. Equation. Y minus B equals m bracket x minus a. That's going to be y take away -2, so y add 2 is going to equal minus 4/3. X take away -7, so I can go x add 7. Fractions are 3 on the bottom, so I'm going to times by 3. 3y add 6 is going to equal, 3's will cancel, leaving the minus 4. Multiply out the bracket. Minus 4x, take away 28, take 6 off both sides, and the altitude from h is 3y equals minus 4x, take away 34. Voila! And that is the end of altitudes. Hope you enjoyed it. Normally in these YouTube videos people will tell you to hit the thumbs up button. I don't care. Don't hit the thumbs up button. See you soon.